All right, everybody, it's me, Gregory Mannarino. It is still Monday, April 12th, 2021. This is my post-market wrap-up, and it's going to be lovely. Let's start off with this lovely piece of news before we talk about the markets. So here we are today, and it's being reported. I posted this all over my social networks. Look it up for yourself. At least 50 million people who were once members of the middle class are now surviving only by borrowing from credit cards, taking out loans. They cannot make ends meet. Like I have explained to you since time immemorial, most members of the middle class right now are going down to the lower rung. Some are going up to the one percenters, or however you want to calculate that. But the middle class is going away. It's being evaporated. So if you still consider yourself a member of the middle class, you're in a lot of trouble. And I mean a lot of trouble. Turn on the news today. Not just the financial channels, but you got regular news outlets covering inflation. It's everywhere. Food prices are surging. The cost of living is going up. You can't hide from it. It's everywhere. So understand that however tough life seems for you right now, unfortunately, it's going to get a lot harder. And this is, again, no accident. The Fed is going ballistic in their mission to fulfill their end game, to own it all, to buy everything. So what does that mean? The dollar in its current form is going to suffer dramatically. We haven't seen anything yet. So your purchasing power goes away, and it just makes your life harder. Unfortunately, this is something I have warned about for many years. It's in our face, and we're not even seeing a fraction of how this is going to unfold yet. This is why I am warning you yet again. Get ready for the tsunami of inflation that is coming. It's going to hit like a tidal wave. And again, if you are struggling to get by, if you are one of those 50 million people, prime members of the middle class, who can't get by, well, you will get a lot of company very, very soon. That's the truth here. And again, just to push this point home, this is not by accident. Nothing you are seeing now is by accidents. Exploding debts, exploding deficits, an economy in free fall. Meanwhile, the lie over and over again that we are in some kind of recovery. There's no recovery at all. Zero. And that's just unfortunately the way it's going to go until it's over. And it's not going to be over yet. And for those of you that are suffering, the pain is just starting. So you got to think, what am I going to do? How am I going to get myself on the right side of this? Something I've outlined for, over an entire decade. I've warned about this. I've told you to claw yourself higher if you can. Do something, act. Anyway, that's the situation. So let's go to this market here. Fractional losses across the board, although well off of the lows with regard to the major stock market indices. Gold and silver fell under pressure today. Cryptos in aggregate fell slightly. Bitcoin still over 60,000. Crude oil did catch a bit, although well off of its lows. Earlier today, crude oil was higher by over 2.5%. I think we finished higher by about 0.65%. The dollar finished flat. 10-year yield remained stable. The market is waiting for earnings here. We're going to start getting earnings coming in, especially the banks. And you know how this works. The banks rule the world, and the market's going to follow where the banks go, in my opinion here. And I've pretty much nailed this to the wall, people. I want you to really be mindful of what's happening around you and raise your awareness. I've been saying those exact words now for months. Raise your awareness. Raise your awareness. Because again, you have to understand that this is all engineered. Everything. It's all fake. Nothing is what it seems. I cover this all the time. And this is a deliberate attempt to create that feudal system that I have warned about for literally over a decade. It's here. It's right here. It's right freaking now. And again, it's astonishing to me how we have Great Depression levels of unemployment. We have at least 50 million prior members of the middle class now borrowing just to make ends meet, which means soon they're going down to the lower rung. And there's going to be waves and millions and tens of millions more. The goal here is to push as many people as possible lower, make them dependent upon the government. Do you understand? We are watching a shift here from one paradigm to another. The creation of a slave society dependent on big government. Henceforth, why? Corporations today, corporate America is stronger than it has ever been. Yeah, stocks today, the stock market had fractional loss across the board. But just Friday, we hit record highs. Meanwhile, small businesses here in the United States continue to shutter. You're not supposed to know that. This is not by accident, okay? Middle class going away, extreme haves, extreme have-nots, a slave society dependent on stimulus, dependent on the government, and that's what they're creating here. A whole new set of rules, a whole new paradigm, exactly about, I have said those exact words for years, and it's here right now. So, I mean, I know, I don't know, so I can't say I know. I can't imagine how hard it is for some of you out here in this current environment with the fake news, the propaganda, struggling, trying to get by, paying more for everything. Meanwhile, there's no inflation here. At least that's the narrative they're trying to push down our throats here. But if there's a way for you to get out of the spot you're in, you got to take it. You got to take that off ramp. If you are in debt, for example, unsecured debt, more specifically, you can get out of it all for a fraction of what you owe. And I do a whole video on this, a blow by blow. It's like an hour long or 45 minutes long. I walk you through how to do it. You got to get yourself out of debt, period, the end. You got to find a way to protect yourself in this environment. Inflation is here, and inflation is going to hit very, very hard. And they're going to still try to convince you that what you are seeing is not real, although it's being covered by the news outlets, the financial channels, the non-financial, they're all talking about it. Everyone is. So I don't know what to tell you. You really got to try to think of what you can do for yourself to get yourself on the right side. Now, I'm not saying you should run out here and start trading this market. You better know what you're doing. You better know what you're doing if you want to trade this market. You don't just buy a position, let's say a call on XYZ, and expect it's going to make $1 gazillion. You have to manage these positions. You have to get out when they turn against you. You have to add to these positions if they're still in an uptrend. If you're selling puts, you got to know how to play that. If you're setting up a credit spread, this is not easy, okay? So, if you're willing to learn, there's a lot of ways to do it. But the most simple way, people, to understand, in my opinion, that we got to counter this debt. We got to counter strategize against it. And the only way to do it, in my opinion, the simplest way to do it is to hold physical gold, physical silver more specifically, just to protect whatever wealth you may have. And even with this, again, it's very, very, very late in the game here. And I think the effect of inflation that we're seeing right now, this is nothing. We're going to get hit really hard, much harder than I think most people can possibly imagine here. Even with the current situation, the Federal Reserve suppressing rates artificially now for over a decade with the promise of more easy money, there's no way to prevent the wave, the tsunami, the hurricane, whatever you want to call it, of inflation that's coming. There's no way to stop it. At one particular point, all of these extra bills, no matter what form they exist in, is going to start chasing the same amount of goods. I mean, this is like, economics 101 here, people. And there's just no way to stop it. So understand that whatever you're seeing now, you haven't seen a thing yet. And I mean absolute zero. You got to be ready for it, people. You must have the high ground. Always have the high ground. You got to get together with like-minded people. Talk about what you're going to do. In a worst case scenario, you must be prepared for a worst case scenario, because that's what they're pushing on us, and this is not by accident. A slave society is being created. I mean, you see that. At least I hope you do. Dependent on government, corporations are taking over. The small business is gone, going away, middle class erased, just like I've explained to you. We all knew this was coming from a very long time ago. How? Because I told you. And I'm telling you again, right here and right now, you have not seen anything yet. All right, people, with that, I'm going to let you go. I think this has been an important video. Please share it. Please get it out there. Talk to each other in the comments section. Utilize my website, the chat room there. Talk to each other. We got to come together. We have to. And anyway, you got to figure something out. I'm out here. See you in the morning.